Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Chris Scarlett. This is the second video in our series called Using Assembly Sketches to Drive Components and Details in Construction Design. And what we showed in our first video was the end result. What we had was a completed home with a modeling box and assembly sketches associated with that box. We also had a design table, details, and drawings associated with the whole model. And with this video, what we'd like to do is we'd like to show you how to set it all up. And just to review what we talked about in our first videos, what we have are essentially two sketches that are designed to drive the whole design, and those sketches exist in both the top and the front sketch. The top sketch is the primary sketch. It drives all the other sketches and the model associated with it from that point on. The top sketch defines the basic footprint of the house. It defines where all the walls are going to be, starting with the exterior walls, and that would include the walls associated with the second floor as well as the basement, as well as the first floor too. And that also starts to begin to drive some of the details in the front sketch. And the front sketch will have everything that's associated with the elevations, such as some of the vertical heights of perhaps the windows, doors, ceilings, and roofs, as well as some of the smaller features. So real quick, if we look at our Feature Manager design tree over here, we have our three basic planes, front, top, and right plane. We didn't do anything additional to those planes. Then we started with our top sketch, and then our front sketch, top sketch being on the top plane, the front sketch being on the front plane. And we created a back plane associated parallel to the front plane too in the back. So let's look at the top sketch real quick. If we open up the top sketch, you can see many dimensions and construction lines and regular sketch lines associated with this model. And this, like I said before, defines the footprint of the model. And just to walk you around a little bit from the front to the back of the model, we have 13 feet dedicated to where the single bay garage door is going to be. We have a double bay garage door off here just to the right of that. The front door is going to be in this area. We have a kind of a breakfast nook area, a dining room area over here. We have a great room in the back of the house. The kitchen's going to be right here in the middle. There's going to be another series of rooms on the back of the house, and then back to the front of the house again too. Something you'll notice with this front sketch too, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in subsequent videos, is that we have a construction line that defines the whole outside of the house, kind of a perimeter of the house. It doesn't define the property line, but it does define an area where we're going to be doing all of our sketching. Like I talked about before, we're talking about a modeling box. Modeling box contains all the sketches that are going to be used to define our whole house, our whole model of the house. And all the sketches are going to be drawn in association with these construction lines. We already have a front plane and a right plane, this being the front plane, this being the right plane, associated with the model. But we're also going to create a back plane, which is going to be coincident with that construction line in the back, and a left plane, which is going to be coincident with this line over here too. And the premise here is if when we change the footprint of the house and make it just a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, that we're always going to have those planes associated with the house also kind of move along with the house boundary. So let's go ahead and rebuild that, and let's take a look at our front sketch. Rotate this around a little bit. One thing you notice with the front sketch, and I did mention it with the top sketch too, is there's some annotations with the front sketch too in order to help us define some of the elements that are going to be driven by the front sketch and some of the other sketches here too. But there's only two elements that are just only a handful of elements that are associated with the front sketch so far. That being the garage floor slab, the first floor subfloor height, and the second floor structure height. And these are associated off to the left of here a little bit. But this is a start. This is just a start of what's going to be a fairly complex drawing in the front that's going to define pretty much all the elevation features of the house. So let's go ahead and rebuild that and talk about how this is all set up. We talked a little bit about some of the plans that are associated with this, but if we go to View and turn on the Origin, let's go ahead and turn on the planes too. You can see where some of the planes are and how this is laid out. Of course, the top plane and front plane and right plane are already existing with SolidWorks. And what we did is we created the back plane over here too, and in a subsequent video we're going to create the left plane over here on the left-hand side of the house. The top plane is going to be associated with all the features that are going to be defined with the footprint of the house, and it actually defines the very top of the subfloor of the house, and the floor is actually built below that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in some subsequent videos. The right plane's established, the front plane's established, we created the back plane, and now I like to create the left plane, and it's very simple to do that, and this will complete our modeling box if we do that. So if we go to Insert, go to Reference Geometry, go to Plane, we're going to create a plane that's going to be parallel to the right plane as well as coincident with that line. So our first reference is going to be the right plane. We're going to click on the right plane, and then our second reference is going to be this construction line associated with the top sketch. And we're going to make this parallel to each other, and then check mark. Instead of calling that plane 1, we're going to call that left plane. If I can spell that correctly. Click off to the side. Now we have all 4 planes that are going to be associated with our modeling box. So that completes our second video. Join us for our subsequent videos where we're going to get a little bit more into the detail here. We're going to be creating in some subsequent videos some of the aspects of the first floor. We're going to create our first floor, subfloor, first floor structure, and our garage slab.